Good to see you again. And it's obviously been a couple of weeks since we were last talking and about 5G, and it was somewhat ironic that we were trying to talk about 5G, and our connectivity decided to stop, didn't it? So yes, thanks for coming on again to talk to us on Architect Tomorrow about 5G and the possibilities. And to remind you, we were talking last time about smart cities, and Leo D'Souza gave us an overview of the smart city initiatives at the City of Vancouver, and then my colleague Chris Hallenbach started to talk to us all about the kind of security challenges of Internet of Things and operational technology, and we touched on 5G, kind of smart lampposts and various other things, and Leo spoke about some of the trials that have been going on with telecoms providers and the smart city infrastructure. So that was a fascinating dialogue, and it was a real shame when we went to talk to you about 5G that your connection to Zoom, so we're not sure it was your connectivity or Zoom that was the problem, but unfortunately we couldn't see you, we could only hear you, and it was all a bit broken. So thanks for making the time to speak to us again. So let's restart then. Sanna, if you could give us an overview of why you think 5G is going to be quite game-changing and why it's different from 4G, and perhaps your thoughts on the smart city kind of piece as well when it comes to 5G.
Yeah, so the pillars of 5G are really quite simple, but they will change how hopefully communication and connectivity works. So the simple one is really just enhance mobile broadband. So it will be faster, it will be more reliable, so better. The other one is the low latency, and this is quite important. So ultra high reliability and low latency, that will allow us to have things like self-driving cars. For smart cities, quite important. And that is really a big change in the network to have that low latency. And another point, that the third one, is the massive IoT. So massive connectivity, and again, this will impact the smart cities, like the smart city cameras. We are not talking about one or two cameras, lots of them. So really important for the smart cities. And
I guess perhaps also things like bus stops and interactive signage in the city as well, right?
Yeah, and it's really one of the things that 5G will enable, is really to have that connectivity, lots of things being connected at the same time, and everything working, and then the low latency, everything together. So it's really, it will be a change. A big change. So those are I like to talk these three things that are really important that 5G will bring, but those are like the main things. Then you will have better security.
Okay.
So improved security, because it's one of the big worries, isn't it? Cyber security and everything. It will not be it will be optional. So you have options there of how to improve the security, but it is quite important with everything that is going on.
And why is that, Anna? Just sort of briefly, is that because it's sort of a fully IP network? Is that because we've removed all the circuit switch kind of legacy things that perhaps are present in 4G and 3G, or what's the kind of reason? Is it better cryptography? What's the security enhancement?
It's more that. It's more of that. It's to increase really the methods that we are using. So 3GPP as defined that. They have not put them as mandatory. So we can, which is good. So we can evolve. Slowly, but it can improve, and you can improve in specific areas. Others you don't need to improve. A big change of 5G standalone is really service-based architecture.
Okay.
Which is you know, some people don't understand that, but network architecture is quite different from the IT architecture.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everyone is used to service-based architecture on the IT side.
Yeah.
On the network is going to be a big change,
Right.
honestly, and it will bring a huge flexibility to the network. But
and so is that in terms of the provisioning of services, or is it in how the service is consumed? Help me understand that a little bit.
How the services are consumed.
Mm-hmm.
So you will have you can have a static architecture,
Mm-hmm.
that you have the boxes, hardware, all are defined. This is the function that you are going to do. It's a
Yep.
network function, really well defined.
Mm-hmm.
With the service-based architecture, you can change what the box is doing from a function point of view.
So software, sort of software-defined networking, network functions,
Yes,
virtualization
yes.
type principles.
Everything
Okay,
is virtualized,
got it.
so huge flexibility. It will
Right.
be a huge learning curve. But I think it's converging the IT and the network. So
Interesting. And I guess this sort of blends into edge computing, doesn't it? Where
yes.
there'll be, excuse me, sorry. So with the low latency, you know, obviously that makes sense to keep things kind of local to the for 5G base station perhaps, and have some compute capacity there. And yeah, we've touched in other videos on this edge computing kind of concept. In fact, Tony, we talk about the intelligent edge, but I think, yeah, this perhaps 5G will be when edge computing really starts to kind of make sense, right? Because of the low latency properties of the connectivity, and as you say, the virtualization aspects of 5G perhaps start to blend the kind of
Yeah,
compute and connectivity. The two things start. When does one stop and one start? Sort
yeah,
of becomes
yeah.
a bit of a question mark, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it's really is like an open field of the applications that it can be used, and lots of vendors
Mm-hmm.
are already coming with amazing use cases
Right.
of what we can do. But you know, they are use cases, and then we will have to see what really works and what's
Yeah.
really in a good commercial state. Yeah, all of
And
that.
I guess there's perhaps more potential to reconfigure the network when there's like a big event going on, you know, because often there's problems, isn't there, at the moment? Like if you go to a sports event or some kind of event, and of course, conscious at the moment those things aren't necessarily happening, but so much.
Yeah.
But I guess there's the possibility to kind of reconfigure the network to provide a different level of service, but to more users perhaps than you know,
Yeah. that,
traditional operating.
that is the basic concept of virtualization, isn't
Mm,
it? But now is really taking it to an environment that will really work,
mm-hmm,
because the big problem with the network needs to we you know, if you have a call happening, is continuity that is really important. So
mm-hmm,
this architecture will give us that.
right.
You don't need to shut down everything and restart again. This will give you this will, you know, it's lots of things is theory,
Yeah.
still on paper. Lots of standards are being defined, and of course COVID has delayed some of the standards, especially
Mm-hmm.
on this service-based architecture.
Okay.
Is the area that is not still 100%, but yeah, we are getting there, and it's a nice journey to be in.
And one of the things sort of turning actually to the talk of the current time, one of the things we touched on last time we spoke was, you know, the irony of people attacking sort of network infrastructure and sort of blaming 5G for the virus, when actually if 5G had been rolled out, there might be more possibilities for improved, you know, perhaps contact tracing, because there's more base stations and therefore more possibilities for things like triangulation and other more advanced sort of, you know, capabilities. So but that's my, you know, my former telco person talking. What's your views on, you know, if we were living in a world, well, we will relatively soon, I guess, be living in a world with 5G. What do you think that opens up in terms of possibilities to kind of help with crises and pandemics and situations like we have
Oh,
now?
so, not just is the remote thing that
Mm-hmm.
will help. I think that will be a big change.
Yeah.
And one of the huge use cases is really you will be able to do an operation on a patient remotely. because of the low latency.
Got
So
it.
that opens a lot, not just for the people that are being affected by the pandemic, but people that have other illness, but we will be able to continue their treatment there. So the world doesn't need to stop.
So actually what you're saying is perhaps that the low latency opens up more remote work opportunities and distance work opportunities for people that are doing physical things, because you've got the ability to have that shorter round trip time, such that if you're doing something perhaps in a manufacturing process remotely, or like you say in a medical surgery, you've got that real quick feedback loop so that you can see what you're doing in real time. Got it. Okay.
It's you know, it I think will really help, and in some cases it will not be directly to the pandemic or whatever is the problem, but you know, people who have other problems, they will be able to even simple things as life appointments with the GP, and you know, because it's easier for the GP to see what is going on and explain. So it's just amazing how people have attacked the 5G.
Well, it's just
really.
it's just classic sort of fake news, isn't it, unfortunately. And the other thing I was going to ask you is, you touched on security earlier, but what about privacy? I know some people are concerned about privacy when it comes to 5G. Do you think there's any genuine cause for concern there, or has that been mitigated?
No. They are putting that. That's why all the architecture is being changed and improved, and the fact that we have a service-based architecture, of course, it's open. The architecture that if you have an attack, they will be able to see all of your architecture. So that is a concern. But that's why they have put boxes to ensure that security, that no one, for instance, between MVNOs, if you have an MVNO, you don't want the MVNO to come and look into your architecture.
One virtual
topology.
Operator shouldn't be able to see another one.
So they are putting things in place that they are not able to see. Everything will be secure, and you know, but we are not there yet. It will be step by step, but
iterations.
Yes.
And I guess maybe the concerns aren't at the network layer anyway. Maybe it's more in the applications that sit on top of 5G. I guess maybe that's where the
on the radio side, they are increasing the encryption and the security. On the radio side is really a big step as well. From you know, it's that time will tell. It was a challenge to break whatever has been done. So you know. But,
it's dangerous to say that it's fairly secure, because nothing truly is, right?
Until someone breaks it,
And so I guess the final thing on this topic for me, Anna, is what have you seen? I mean, you've touched on sort of autonomous vehicles and things, but what have you seen or heard of that you think is a really interesting and novel use case for 5G? I mean, it might be something you've already mentioned, but what's kind of really surprised you, or you thought, oh, that's a really cool use case?
The first one was really a remote operation. I was impressed with that one. It's really amazing. Another one that was interesting, it was on the farming side.
Okay.
It was basically you can control everything. Oh, today is raining, I don't need water. Today is really dry. But
so smart farming.
Smart farming. I really like that one.
It's particularly important, isn't it, with the sort of sustainability. I mean, we're talking a lot about, we will be talking a lot more about sustainability on Architect tomorrow. So having solutions that kind of help us farm more efficiently in a world where there'll be water shortages and other resource shortages and space shortages, of course, is really important. So no, that's a really interesting use case, isn't it? I guess it also means that all these Internet of Things and operational technology no longer need those proprietary radio networks like Zigbee and other things, do they? They can just use a ubiquitous network, which I think is quite nice. Great. Well, look, Anna, that's been great. Thank you. Thanks for sharing your insights on 5G.
Thank you. Yeah, exciting times.
Thanks,
Thank
Anna.
you.